Good evening, I'm Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. We start with a book cover that's been grabbing a lot of attention on social media, and not the good kind of attention, and now the police are involved. Home Minister Hamzah Zainudin has ordered the police to probe those who have said to have duplicated the National Coat of Arms. While Hamzah did not refer to the particular material, he was believed to be referring to the case involving the controversial cover of a book entitled Rebirth, Reformasi Resistance and Hope in New Malaysia. Hamzah said it was an offence to imitate the coat of arms under Section 31A of the Emblems and Names Act 1963. He added that he has instructed the police to carry out the investigation and take stern action immediately. He said the government will not compromise with any party who performed this unpatriotic and irresponsible act. The book cover made its rounds on social media, and some netizens said that it insulted the National Coat of Arms. Meanwhile, UMNO youth, accompanied by PAS and BN component parties, had filed a police report at the Dangwangi District Police Headquarters on the matter.
Jadi hari ini kita hanya bukan duduk di sini, bukan atas dasar parti politik saja, walaupun kalau kita tengok sini ada 4 parti politik, tetapi kita hari ini bersama-sama bersolidariti sebagai rakyat Malaysia untuk kita ada rasa tanggungjawab. Ini merupakan satu penghinaan terhadap logo dan juga kedaulatan negara.
In the report, he said he suspected the book cover was designed as such to not only undermine the coat of arms, but the act was also politically motivated, as well as to incite hatred towards the country. Also present at Dangwangi was UMNO Youth Exco member Wan Muhammad Azri Wanderes or Papagomo.
Jadi saya harap pihak Kementerian Dalam Negeri menyiasat lebih detail perkara ini, kerana seperti mana yang kita maklum, buku ini diterbitkan pada tahun 2019. Yang mana kita masih lagi menunggu jawapan rasmi daripada pihak Kementerian Dalam Negeri. Adakah ini ada kelulusan daripada KDN ataupun tidak, ataupun buku ini hanya dijual di luar negeri. Namun maklumat awal yang kita peroleh, buku ini dijual di Lazada, di Shopee, dan sudah pastilah sudah ada di dalam pasaran Malaysia.
Meanwhile, PAS Youth Exco member Muhammad Faizuddin said the incident is an early attempt to threaten national sovereignty, while MIC Youth Secretary G. Thiagesh urged MIC members nationwide to lodge police reports on the issue. Malaysia continues to inch closer to its goal of 0 new COVID-19 cases. We may not be there yet, but our numbers are encouraging. Malaysia today reported 3 new COVID-19 cases. From that number, one was an imported case involving a Malaysian who had a travel history to Fiji and New Zealand but was denied entry by both countries before he transited in Singapore to return home.
Kedua-dua kes penularan di dalam negara adalah juga di kalangan warga negara Malaysia, iaitu di Selangor satu kes saringan pra-prosedur bagi rawatan penyakit barah leukemia. Yang kedua, di Sabah, satu kes saringan tempat kerja, iaitu sebuah pasar umum di Sandakan.
The new infections in the last 24 hours up to noon put the cumulative cases to date at 8,637. Dr. Hisham also reported 16 COVID-19 patients have been discharged from hospital, putting the total recoveries at 8,334. This puts the number of active cases at 182. No new fatalities were reported, maintaining the death toll at 121. Dr. Hisham said 5,407 swab tests for COVID-19 were conducted yesterday. The maximum capacity of 55 public and private labs are at 36,812 tests a day. With many businesses allowed to resume operations under the Recovery MCO, the government continues to add more to that list. So get your sunscreen ready, because wet and dry theme parks will be allowed to reopen this week. The government has decided to allow the reopenings of theme parks and water parks beginning July 1st.
Kebenaran ini akan melibatkan 54 taman tema di seluruh negara dan melibatkan lebih 10,000 tenaga kerja. Pengusaha semua taman tema perlu mematuhi SOP yang ditetapkan, termasuk memastikan penjarakan sosial dipatuhi pada setiap masa. Had pengunjung adalah berdasarkan kapasiti ruang serta saiz taman tema tersebut. Pengunjung juga perlu menjalani proses pendaftaran melalui aplikasi My Sejahtera serta pemeriksaan suhu badan dan juga penyediaan hand sanitizer.
Ismail added that particularly for water park operators, they are required to follow the public pools management and maintenance guidelines set by the local authority, as well as the guidelines on water quality observation. Meanwhile, Malaysians and foreign nationals entering the country will have to bear the cost of undergoing COVID-19 testing at the country's gateways beginning today. However, there is an exemption list. Disabled persons, students and government officers returning to Malaysia will not have to pay for testing. Ismail Sabri said that the Special Ministers meeting this morning decided to allow the exemption for those three categories of Malaysians returning from abroad.
Iaitu yang pertamanya, orang kelainan upaya ataupun OKU yang mempunyai kad orang kurang upaya yang dikeluarkan oleh Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat, JKM. Yang kedua, pegawai kerajaan yang kembali dari luar negara di atas tugasan rasmi. Dan yang ketiga adalah pelajar yang pulang dari luar negara buat kali pertama dan perlu mengemukakan bukti pengajian.
Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has placed his support behind Shafie Apdal to be named as Harapan's candidate for Prime Minister, but the Sabah Chief Minister is looking to take it slow. Sabah Chief Minister Shafie Apdal said he is grateful for the proposal for him to be the Prime Ministerial candidate for Pakatan Harapan and its allies, but needs to first consult his political colleagues. This came after former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad revealed that he met with Amanah, DAP and Warisan leaders on June 25th, where they had agreed to nominate Shafie as the Prime Ministerial candidate, with Anwar Ibrahim and Mukhlis Mahathir as his deputies. PKR was absent at the informal meeting. Shafie was quoted as saying by Free Malaysia Today that he has to consider the matter seriously and had yet to consult his political colleagues, including the Warisan Deputy President. He said he had yet to get feedback from Sabah DAP and PKR on the matter as well. He added that Mahathir's proposal may be aimed at uniting the people, but there was much to consider, including who would be the next Chief Minister of Sabah. On Saturday, Amanah and DAP said they viewed Shafie's nomination as an option, but they needed to discuss the matter internally and bring it to the Harapan Presidential Council. The proposal appears to be an attempt to break the impasse between Mahathir and Anwar on who should be the Prime Ministerial candidate for Harapan and to attract support from East Malaysia. Meanwhile, Mahathir revealed that the proposal to make his son Mukhlis the Deputy Prime Ministerial candidate did not come from him but from Pakatan Harapan leaders. In a blog post, he said Mukhlis' appointment as the second Deputy Prime Minister was already mentioned in a joint statement by Hamanah President Mat Sabu and DAP Secretary General Lim Guan Eng. Mahathir was referring to a statement by Mat Sabu and Lim which said it was proposed that Anwar would be the Prime Minister while Mukhlis his deputy during a Harapan Presidential Council meeting on May 30th. It appears to be spring cleaning season for PKR as it continues to remove those who are aligned to former Deputy President Azmin Ali. 5 PKR leaders linked to its former Deputy President Azmin Ali has been officially sacked by the party. They are PKR's Women's Chief Hanizah Tahla, PKR Penang Women's Chief Nur Zarina Zakaria, PKR Sabah Women's Chief Rahima Majid, and 2 Penang Assembly persons, Dr. Afif Bardin and Zulkifli Ibrahim. The matter was confirmed by PKR Disciplinary Board Chairperson Ahmad Kasim. The decision was made by PKR Central Leadership Council after studying recommendations by the Disciplinary Board. The party initiated a disciplinary probe against those known to be aligned to Azmin, who triggered the Sheraton move in late February that led to the collapse of the Pakatan Harapan government. Ahmad said PKR also issued a warning against its Vice President Thian Chua, Machap Jaya State Assembly Person Ginny Lim, and Penang Wanita Communications Chief Carolyn Koh. Coming up next, if you think our parliament is out of control, you've not seen anything yet. Take a look at what happened in Taiwan. Our lawmakers are relatively well behaved compared to what you're about to see in Taiwan. Fighting erupted in Taiwan's parliament on Monday as lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, broke through barricades erected by the main opposition, Kuomintang, or KMT, who had occupied it to protest against government tyranny. Taiwan is a rambunctious democracy, and fights and protests inside the parliament building are not uncommon. More than 20 KMT lawmakers occupied the legislature overnight on Monday, blocking entry to the main chamber with chairs and chains, saying the government was trying to force through legislation and demanding the president to withdraw the nomination of a close aide to a high-level watchdog. Late morning on Monday, DPP lawmakers pulled down the barricades and forced their way in, surrounding the main podium where their KMT opposite numbers had holed up. There were scuffles and shouting as the KMT, including its youthful new chairman, Johnny Chiang, struggled to hold their position. The KMT lawmakers eventually withdrew but denounced their DPP counterparts for using violence against them. Both the DPP and the Presidential Office condemned the KMT's action, with the DPP saying the KMT was orchestrating a farce. The KMT is undergoing a policy revamp to try and win back popular support, but faces an uphill struggle. Hundreds of people marched in silence to Hong Kong streets on Sunday, but things eventually got pretty loud. Hong Kong police arrested at least 53 people on Sunday after scuffles erupted during a relatively peaceful protest against a planned national security legislation to be implemented by the mainland Chinese government. Armed riot police were present as a crowd of several hundred marched in the Kowloon district, staging what was intended as a silent protest against the planned law. However, chanting and slogans were shouted towards police and scuffles later broke out, prompting police to use pepper spray. The Hong Kong police said on Facebook that 53 people have been arrested and were charged with unlawful assembly. They added that some protesters had tried to blockade roads in the area. The proposed national security law has raised concerns among Hong Kong democracy activists and some foreign governments that Beijing is further eroding the extensive autonomy promised when British handed the territory back to China in 1997. The law aims to tackle separatism, subversion, terrorism and collusion with foreign forces, although it is unclear what activities would constitute such crimes and what the punishments would be. On Thursday, the US Senate passed a resolution condemning the proposed security law. They also passed legislation that would impose mandatory sanctions on people or companies that back efforts by China to restrict Hong Kong's autonomy. The measure also includes secondary sanctions on banks that do business with anyone found to be backing any crackdown on the territory's autonomy. This could potentially cut them off from their American counterparts and limit access to US dollar transactions. China says the national security law will only target a small group of troublemakers, and people who abide by the legislation have no reason to worry. The protest on Sunday came a day after Hong Kong police refused permission for an annual march usually held on July 1st to mark the 1997 handover, citing a ban on large gatherings amid the coronavirus pandemic. Global coronavirus cases exceeded 10 million on Sunday. Global cases of coronavirus exceeded 10 million on Sunday, according to a Reuters tally, as the number of deaths from the respiratory illness approached 500,000. The grim milestone comes as many hard-hit countries ease their lockdown measures, while making extensive changes to the ways people live and work. This could last a year or more until a vaccine is available. North America, Latin America and Europe each account for around 25% of cases, while Asia has 11% and the Middle East has 9%, according to the Reuters tally, which uses government reports. Just two countries, India and Brazil, account for over a third of all new cases over the past week. Both are battling outbreaks of over 10,000 cases a day, and Brazil reported a record 54,700 new cases on June 19th. Some countries are also experiencing a resurgence in infections, leading authorities to partially reinstate lockdowns in what experts say could be a recurring pattern in the coming months and into 2021. Countries including China, New Zealand and Australia have seen new outbreaks in the past month. In Beijing, where hundreds of new cases were linked to an agricultural market, testing capacity has been ramped up to 300,000 a day. As of Sunday morning, there have been more than 497,000 fatalities linked to COVID-19 worldwide. The United States, which has reported the most cases of any country at more than 2.2 million, managed to slow the spread of the virus in May, only to see it expand in recent weeks to rural areas and other places that were previously unaffected. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.